Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. And if you do have an accident, our claim centers are available to assist you 24/7. Call 1-844-482-5537 for a free quote today. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Top-ranked defense in all of college basketball. The Pittsburgh Panthers conclude a season-long 5-game homestand and are 8-1 this season at Petersen Events Center. It's ACC basketball, and it starts right now. We welcome you inside Petersen Events Center here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for ACC College Hoops. Here's our matchup tonight. It's the number 11 team in the land, the Virginia Cavaliers, with their 11-2 record against the Pittsburgh Panthers. So great to have you with us for our game this evening. Tom Wormy along with former Virginia standout Corey Alexander. And we will see, Corey, the best defensive team in all of the nation in the Virginia Cavaliers. They allow their opponents just 49 points per game.
Absolutely. Virginia's defense is very stingy. Tony Bennett has his program in full effect on that end of the floor. You look at the numbers, only giving up less than 50 points per game and the 35% shooting. Teams know when they play against the Wahoos, it's going to be a difficult night on the offensive end of the floor.
Now, sometimes for the Cavaliers, offense can be an issue. That's not a problem for Pittsburgh. Two very reliable scorers. One of them is Jamel Artis, the senior from Baltimore, Maryland.
And Jamel Artis playing a different role for the Panthers this year, taking over the reins as the point guard. But, of course, his scoring has increased as well. And Jamel Artis continues to dominate the game, and not only from shooting the ball behind the arc, but also attacking the paint and getting to the free throw line. Artis made 5 threes against Notre Dame in the loss. However, not enough to get him over the top. I'm sure he'll be looking to do more here tonight.
25 points in that loss against the Irish for Artis. They've met 4 times as ACC members, and Virginia has won them all. Starting lineups. Opening tip next from Pittsburgh.
Ready to do more, but
you both have a perfect driving record.
Perfect.
No tickets, no accidents.
That is until one of you clips a food truck, ruining your perfect record.
Yeah.
Now, you would think your insurance company would cut you some slack, right?
No, your insurance rates go through the roof. Your perfect record doesn't get you anything.
Anything.
Perfect.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
the national championship is here.
Watson, touchdown! A tremendous evening for this Clemson offense. Look at go! The Tide defense rolls again.
The rematch is now set.
Let's get it on.
The national championship presented by AT&T, Clemson, Alabama, Monday at 8 on ESPN, and streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
Watson, touchdown! A tremendous evening for this Clemson offense. Look at go! The Tide defense rolls again.
The rematch is now set.
Let's get it on.
The national championship presented by AT&T, Clemson, Alabama, Monday at 8 on ESPN, and streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
The first of two meetings between the Cavaliers and the Panthers. Here are the starting lineups. We'll begin with the Cavaliers, and watch number 5, Kyle Guy. He's a freshman from Indianapolis, Indiana, getting his first start tonight in their most recent game, a loss against Florida State. He led the team with 14 points and 4 made three-point baskets. Michael Young is the top scorer in all of the ACC. Almost 23 points per game, best in the conference, 8th in the nation. He also leads the Panthers in rebounding with almost 8 per game and shoots 51% from the floor for Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Michael Young wearing number 2, Jamel Artis wearing number 1. They're the 1-2 punch, of course. However, with Young being the greater scorer, he probably should wear 1 and Artis too, but I don't really think they're going to have a problem with that.
Virginia has dominated the series between the teams. Virginia leads at 11-3 overall, and they will have the first possession of the game in the traveling blue. The Panthers in the golden blue.
We have to mention the starting lineup for Pittsburgh back to their traditional starting lineup, as with Artis going back to the point. Chris Jones returning to the starting lineup after missing a game and then coming off the bench in their last game against Notre Dame.
Shot clock down to 7. This is Hall trying to get away from Johnson, and he scores.
And Devin Hall with a big basket early. And when you look at Virginia and what they're doing on the offensive end of the floor, I believe Devin Hall as well as London Prentice, both these guys need to take on more of a responsibility to put points on the board for the Wahoo.
Tough loss for Pittsburgh on Saturday here at Petersen Events Center, losing to number 24 Notre Dame by a point in overtime, 78-77. Michael Young at the other end for the Panthers.
And when people look at Pitt and they think Michael Young, well, he plays the 4 position, and you expect for him to be a guy that Virginia's going to be able to go after with their post trap, but Michael Young is not a one-dimensional player. Shoots the ball well, as you saw there, coming off screens as well.
Virginia also lost on Saturday at home to Florida State, 60-58, despite making 9 3-pointers in that game. Hall with the runner, taken by Jeter in the outlet up to Artis. And
you don't mind that if you're Tony Bennett, because that's where the improvement needs to be for Virginia, attacking the paint. Devin Hall trying to get one, unable to finish, but I like the effort on Devin Hall's part.
Panthers 8-1 at home. The only loss against Notre Dame last Saturday. Back to Johnson for 3. The long rebound to Young and a fresh shot clock. Young around 2 defenders was bumped by Salt. A foul for Virginia. Tony Bennett is the 8th year head coach. 176 wins as the head coach. 3 straight years to the NCAA tournament and 5 straight in the postseason for Virginia. Michael Young, 83% from the free throw line this season despite that miss. 6th best in the ACC. He's been to the line over 100 times this year.
And so many impressive stats about Michael Young, and it's very shocking to see him miss 2 straight free throws. He actually leads this Pitt team in points, rebounds, and assists, and that's rare for a guy that averages close to 23 points a game.
Yeah, he's over 3 assists per game.
Now, it's not as though Pitt has a high assist guy, but, you know, when the ball's in his hands as much as it is, he's definitely giving it up to teammates.
Guy was the cutter, blocked by Artis. Transition for the Panthers. Artis pulls up with a 3-ball. Rims out to Wilkins. London Parentes, number 32 in blue, is the senior with the jumper, and he hits it.
An encouraging sign for Virginia fans. Devin Hall and London Parentes both on the board early, and more importantly, doing it inside the 3-point line in comparison to settling for for jump shots. They're actually attacking and making plays off the bounce.
Johnson wants a 3.
And Pittsburgh scoring, setting up full court pressure. Really not as much to try to turn you over, but just a token pressure trying to get Virginia out of its offensive rhythm.
Reuter put the fake on Young and laid it in.
Great pass by Prentice, finding Reuter under the basket. Pitt losing track of Reuter. That's an easy bucket, especially when you're playing against the press.
Jones gave it up to Jeter. Tenth 3 of the season for Sheldon Jeter, who before coming to Pittsburgh played at Vanderbilt, where he transferred from, for this man, Kevin Stallings, the first-year head coach for the Panthers.
And when I thought about that, I wondered how awkward that situation was coming in. When you left a coach and come back and he gets hired at your current school, but you know, Sheldon Jeter, of course, had a strong year last year at Pittsburgh, and he really transferred because he wanted to be closer to home. So Kevin Stallings just, you know, came to Northern Pennsylvania to join him, that's all.
This is the first time Stallings has faced Virginia as a head coach after 17 seasons at Vanderbilt. Guy steps into the mid-range.
And Virginia now with every basket coming inside the three-point area, not necessarily in the paint. One from Reuter in the paint, but that's an encouraging sign for Virginia. Everything can't be about what they do beyond the three-point line. And if I'm Tony Bennett, I like what his team has come out with on the offensive end of the floor, but defensively, they've yet been able to hold Pitt down.
Luther was standing there, and the ball ended up in his hands, and he lays it in. Ryan Luther, the junior.
And knowing Tony Bennett the way I know Tony Bennett, he's more disappointed about the defense than he is happy about the offense, especially second chance points, as easy as that was for Luther under the basket.
4 different players have scored for each team in the early going in the first half. Wilkins trying to back it on down. Little baseline follow-away came up short. Artis bumped into Parentes, rocketed the ball off the backboard, and London Parentes gets it.
But that's in a scenario where, honestly, with that contact and freedom of movement, and I'm not saying that there should be a foul, but by the rule, there probably should be a foul on that one. So Artis may have a case as he looked at the officials on that one.
Shot clock to 8 for Hall. Guarded by Luther. Three-pointer. Chris Jones the rebound. Luther on the run. Locked out of bounds by Hall. It'll be Pittsburgh basketball. Couple of threes in the early going for the Panthers. First it's Cam Johnson ripping the ropes. And then Sheldon Jeter with some daylight. 2-point Panther lead.
To achieve financial security, there are 2 halves to consider: protect and grow. Instead of focusing on insurance or investments alone, we bring them together into one whole picture. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently.
The debate starts here. First Take, now on ESPN, weekdays at 10.
In conference play in Virginia Tech, Justin Bibbs led 6 players in double figures, and they get the upset of Duke. And Georgia Tech does the same thing to North Carolina.
Absolutely shocking there, but of course, Coach K to have back surgery, going to miss 4 weeks. However, made sure he got Grayson Allen reinstated back into the lineup as the Blue Devils roll tonight over Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech unable to pull off the upset at Cameron Indoor.
Coach K with those 5 national championships, including 2 years ago when they beat Wisconsin in the title game in Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll have highlights of that victory over Georgia Tech and Coach K's final game before going into surgery on Friday, expected to be out about 4 weeks, as Corey mentioned. Young on the drive against 2 defenders. Score of the bucket and the chance at the three-point play for Michael Young.
As we mentioned earlier, Michael Young, not just a post player. You're talking about 6'8", but the ability to handle the basketball on the perimeter and finish through contact. Now, Michael Young missed both his free throws earlier in the game, as you mentioned, an 83% free throw shooter. So I'm sure that's still something he's thinking about as he steps up to the line here with the opportunity for the and one. Not the conventional make, but he'll take it, get it back going, and more importantly, setting up the pressure defense for Pittsburgh and really haven't forced Virginia into turnovers, but maybe sped Virginia up a little earlier and running their offense and the other guys taking shots compared to what the Cavaliers want to do by design.
Thompson tried to find Reuter down on the block, threw it out of bounds, ball back to the Panthers.
And Darius Thompson coming off the bench for the first time this season. Kyle Guy getting the start. And the first time Tony Bennett has changed his starting lineup all year. Usually he's tinkering with it in the non-conference to try to find the best fit. But it's stuck with it all year long until today.
Pittsburgh had won 5 in a row before the loss Saturday against Notre Dame. Shot clock to 7. Luther on the baseline. Drive and then jam it home for the Panthers. And the Oakland Zoo loves it. The student section in full effect because they're back in class for the first day after the break today, Corey, and they're ready for this matchup tonight.
And that actually was a highlight off of a mistake because Ryan Luther, as good of a shooter as he is, that's something to where he normally would have let that three-pointer fly. But he mishandles the basketball on the pass, so it's unable to shoot the three. So instead, he just goes to the rim, flushes it two hands as the Panthers have the momentum on their side.
Reuter. Young. Panthers have scored on 5 of their last 6 possessions. Free throws coming for Artis. All right, now time for our forward keys to the game with Corey Alexander.
Yeah, well, for Virginia, it's simply about you have to score enough points to win. They played Florida State on Saturday. Florida State came into Charlottesville averaging 90 points a game. Virginia held them to 60, but only scored 58. For Pittsburgh, they have to win the battle of the points in the paint, and they've got off to a great start attacking the rim. They're winning the battle on offensive rebounds, and they continue to attack the rim. They made 12 three-pointers against Notre Dame in their loss on Saturday, but yet what they did inside the three-point line was not enough for them to come away with the win.
Panthers only shot 33% in the second half against Notre Dame.
Uncharacteristically, we've seen Artis go to the line and miss 2, as well as Michael Young go to the line and miss 2. So 4 points given away so far for the Panthers, that they could have a 10-point lead right now for 2 guys who normally shoot the ball very well at the free throw line.
3.5 minutes without a point for the Cavaliers. Wilkins lays it up and in.
And for Virginia, that's a welcome sign as well. Getting into that painted area and scoring points. Give Mario Shayok a lot of credit for not only penetrating, but finding Wilkins as well.
2 games ago against Marshall, Artis and Young combined for 60 points. They had 50 together against Notre Dame on Saturday.
You know, Virginia's defense is designed to make you make tough shots. And Tony Bennett made it clear to us that's what Dwayne Bacon did against them on Saturday, where he scored 26 of his 29 points in the second half. But then he also alluded to, when you look at the Pittsburgh team, not only do they have one guy like that, they've got 2 guys that can make tough shots, which presents so much of a challenge to his team here tonight.
Virginia allows its opposition to shoot just 35% per game, trying to work on the offensive end, and a foul on the drive by Shayok. ACC College Hoops, Pitt by 5.
Turn down NBA Saturday prime time. Turn down basketball.
The National Championship, Monday at 8 on ESPN.
The difference between you.
ACC College Basketball is sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places. The Work Pegasus, your workspace any place. Find it at your local Lowe's. And by Planet Fitness. 15th year of the Petersen Events Center, site of our game tonight. We told you about that stifling Virginia defense scoring.
And as you see, they make it seem as though there are no driving lanes. Cam Johnson tries to penetrate. London Parentis cuts it off. Devin Hall closing out on Artis. And an unfortunate turnover for the Panthers. But what the pack line does, it doesn't allow you to feel like as though there are any driving lanes in there. And if you're, of course, Pittsburgh, you have to continue to try to get in those lanes, but you're going to need people to make shots as well. Pittsburgh getting off to a very good offensive start.
Tony Bennett-led teams have been first in the nation in scoring defense on 3 previous occasions. And they lead the nation again this year. Shot clock down to 10. Shayok took a peek at it at the other end. Now lets the 3 go and hits it.
And Shayok has been very aggressive on the offensive end of the floor, driven the basketball to the rim once for an assist, wants to get fouled, and found himself in a rhythm, and now you see him pulling up, knocking down the 3-pointer. So again, encouraging side for Mario Shayok to step up on the offensive end of the floor.
Taken back by the Cavs.
That's an area where Virginia has trademarked the post trap Michael Young, of course, is going to get trapped every time he gets the ball on the post. Virginia's not going to allow him to operate. And another great defensive stand to come away with the turnover.
Guy couldn't shake his defender. Found Thompson, who finds the bottom of the net.
And just like that, 2 back-to-back threes and stops on the defensive end for Virginia, puts them back in the lead where Pittsburgh had the momentum going in their favor. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Kevin Stallings has substituted. And now when you start going to your bench, that's where the drop-off is for the Panthers.
An open Panther, and it's Jeter, and Young was the man to find him.
And a great recognition that time out of the post trap by Michael Young, and Jeter getting to the open spot before Virginia's defense can recover.
Stops an 8-0 run by the Cavaliers. Panthers by 1. Midway through this first half. Hall. The kick out. Shayok in a congested area. Offensive foul against Shayok on the drive.
And Virginia getting the job done on the defensive possession. You see the post trap come, and the great hands by Wilkins to tap it away. On the other end of the floor, Darius Thompson getting the opportunity to knock it down, and then back to the trap. But this time, no one dropping for Virginia. Michael Young recognizing the open man, and Sheldon Jeter was able to finish with the dunk.
Young, the turnaround, just over the edge of the rim.
But you see on that possession, Virginia deciding not to go with the post trap, which ends up becoming a problem for them defensively because one guy's not going to be able to guard Michael Young on the block.
Young with 7 points. Shayok hoisting another 3 from the corner right in front of the Pitt bench.
And so many Virginia fans have wondered, where will the scoring come from? We're talking about a team that does not have one player averaging double-figure points. And I can't remember in the longest time that I've played college basketball nor called college basketball that a team has one player not averaging double figures, especially a team that's ranked number 11 in the country.
How about Artis? His first basket of the game is a three-pointer.
And so many of the Panther faithful have been hoping that this game will be played at Pitt's pace in comparison to Virginia's, and they have had that right now. This is more of a Pittsburgh Panthers pace than the slower pace of the Wahoos.
Shayok again for a 2, just inside the line.
Mariel Shayok answering the bell. Virginia needs scoring. He has stepped up 8 points for him already in this one, and he's also been aggressive driving the ball to the rim.
Hasn't missed a shot, 3 for 3. And 2 3-pointers for Shayok. Young against 3 defenders, comes up short. Hall had the rebound, and they're going to get Young for the foul, trying to go for that loose ball off the miss.
And Mariel Shayok, after knocking down 2 threes in a good rhythm, beautiful one dribble pull-up, great footwork as he finishes. But on the other end of the floor, you always have to be aware of Jamel Artis, especially with his ability to knock down the 3. And now we see a turnover in the backcourt for Virginia. We talked about the Pitt pressure and that it really wasn't designed to turn Virginia over. But this time coming up with the turnover. And, of course, when you look out there and you don't see London Parentes on the floor, that's something that you could become accustomed to.
3rd turnover for the Cavs in the first half. They only average 9.7 per game as far as turnovers are concerned.
Absolutely, but one of the areas where they've struggled in their 2 ACC games, they have only 11 assists to the 9 turnovers. So, you know, Virginia hasn't handled the ball that great. I'm sorry, that's Parentes, but they haven't handled the ball that great in ACC play so far.
Foul will go against Virginia, and Shayok back to Pittsburgh in just a moment.
The difference.
The rematch is now set.
Let's get it on.
The National Championship, Clemson, Alabama, Monday at 8 on ESPN.
The difference between you and me, I tell it like it is, you tell it how it might be.
That damn Max coming. I know he's going to be smiling tomorrow.
They are frequently a laughing stock.
And oh, by the way, had the temerity, the unmitigated gall to sit up there and bloviate about this stuff, and you ain't even in first place. Wow! Shut the hell up!
Catch Those vapors, Stephen A.
The debate starts here. First Take, now on ESPN, weekdays at 10.
Oh, just stop it.
The end.
The difference between you and me, I tell it like it is, you tell it how it might be.
7:44 to go in the first half. Pittsburgh with a 1-point lead against number 11 Virginia. Peek at the top 25 and the teams from the ACC in it, and this is a conference high. 7 teams out of the conference in that top 25, Corey.
The ACC, in my opinion, of course, right at the top of college basketball once again. By Toyota Trivia, when was the last time the ACC had 7 teams ranked in the AP top 25 poll? I'm gonna step aside and let you come up with the answer for that one.
Go have a moment to think about it.
Let the people
along
at
with
home
all the
come
other
up with
viewers.
it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Great. So chew on that for a little while. Again, 7 teams out of the ACC in the top 25.
And Virginia again is deciding not to trap Michael Young. This time he doesn't look to score. But he won't make that mistake again. Young's not going to let Virginia off the hook twice in a row by not bringing the double team. I think he was waiting for the double team on the prior possession. And when it didn't get there, he threw the basketball back out. Great job by the Panthers reposting, and Young making it pay off.
Panthers shooting 59% in the first half. Only one team has shot 50% against Virginia this season, and that's Ohio State. Jeter pulls it in.
You know, when you look at the Panther lineup, it's not a traditional starting lineup simply because they don't have a true point guard out there, nor do they have a traditional center. So they go pretty much a tall lineup all the way across, and defensively they're able to switch pretty much everything on their defensive end of the floor. But offensively, Kevin Stallings basically just decided to put his best players on the floor.
That is Young. 11 points. He's into double figures as he shook his defender.
Beautiful move by Michael Young, who had a lot of fun before the game looking at he and Jamel Artis in warm-ups. And I asked him who would win the one-on-one battle. Of course, both of them said me.
Jones gliding to the rim. It was deflected. Looked like Wilkins got back there. Attempted save on the baseline. The officials are going to discuss it. Tim Nestor, Brian Dorsey, James Breeding award the basketball to Pittsburgh.
And that's an area where the coaching staff from Pittsburgh felt as though their team needed to improve. Coming up with the 50-50 balls. And right there, you see the energy and the effort. They get Cameron Johnson actually for an illegal screen under the basket. But we've seen the whole repertoire from Michael Young early in this game, going to the post, right-hand jump hook, and then he steps out to an opportunity on the outside, and the beautiful crossover move on the perimeter and knocks down the jumper. Michael Young getting it done in all facets on the offensive end.
Michael Young from this area, Duquesne, Pennsylvania, played his prep ball at St. Benedict's, New Jersey. In fact, he and Artis were teammates for one season at St. Benedict's. Double figures, 45 of his last 49 games for Michael Young with 11. Trying to defend Reuter with the turnaround.
Great move by Reuter. Reuter really gives Virginia a post presence. Doesn't get a tremendous amount of minutes, but of course he's a guy that can score on the block when he gets his opportunity.
Foul against Virginia. It is Reuter picking up the personal. Reuter, the sophomore from Marion, Massachusetts, right near Cape Cod. Averages just over 6 points per game. He's got 4 tonight for the Cavs. Panthers with the ball. Young. Get it to Jones. Up strong. Score it. Jones to the line.
And again, great interior passing for the Panthers. Michael Young handling the trap and the double team, and then Chris Jones going through the contact to finish at the rim.
Second foul on Reuter.
And this is one of the areas where Virginia has been concerned about as well. What they've been doing in the free, they've given up opposing teams have made more free throws than Virginia has shot in the ACC games. Now, Virginia's not a program that they take the ball to the basket a lot, but they're also not a program that fouls often. So with that, that's one of the concerns for the Virginia coaching staff is they've got to stop allowing other teams to put points on the board without having to go against their defense.
Or you're right, Virginia only went to the free throw line 5 times in the loss against Florida State and made 3 of them.
And they didn't shoot many against Louisville, even though they were able to come away with the win there.
Hall got his own board. Tried to go in the corner. Johnson intercepted, but Hall ended up with it and he laid it in.
What's the cardinal rule? Don't what?
Don't save the ball under your own basket.
Thank you. Don't
Although it was great hustle from Johnson.
Great hustle from Johnson to get back into the play. If you don't know you're giving it to one of your players, just take it out of bounds and make the team play against a set defense.
Luther trying to get around Reuter, and he traveled in the process. Ball to the Cavs.
And Devin Hall going to the rim. And really, that's the problem when Devin probably should have shot it, but of course, in the right place at the right time. Gets the pass back from not his teammate, but from Johnson. Give Johnson an assist. He gets a turnover and an assist on that one.
Pittsburgh by 4. Shot clock at 5. Guy trying to get away from Young. Difficult shot. Luther had the position. Offensive foul against Jones as he went against Parentes. Just under 4 minutes to go in our first half, and the Panthers in front.
Texans, Saturday at 4:20 on ESPN and ABC.
Basketball is sponsored by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. We have the tools to make healthcare easy. And your local Ford dealer.
Fantastic shot of the city of Pittsburgh and the statue of Bill Mazeroski from the 1960 World Series Championship. The Oakland Zoo pumped up and ready for tonight, and we're ready for the answer to the Toyota Trivia. The last time the ACC had 7 teams ranked in the AP Top 25 poll.
It was a tricky one. It was a very tricky question.
December 27th of 2005. Did you know that answer, Courtney?
I did not. I thought this was the first time that they ever had 7. But
they matched the largest number.
They tied the largest
number.
Exactly. Yeah. In 2005, there were only 12 teams in the ACC. So now where you have your 15 teams, 7 seems to be a lot, but, this is a year where a lot of the so-called experts felt as though you could have 11 ACC teams. As Artis knocks down another 3, 11 ACC teams in the NCAA tournament. Pittsburgh trying to vie to be one of those, had a very good non-conference. They can get a win here today against a number 11 Virginia. That would definitely bolster their resume.
Panthers were one of 7 teams last year to make the tournament from the ACC, and 6 of them made the Sweet 16. Panthers the only ones not to advance.
And 6 of them also with an opportunity to play in the Elite 8, which was even more amazing. All 6 of those teams advancing to the Elite 8 and basically knocking each other out of opportunities to go to the Final Four. Don't you mention it.
Should we take it further?
I'm telling you, don't mention it. Don't mention it.
2 teams to the Final Four. North Carolina and Syracuse, the first ever number 10 seed to make it to the Final Four before losing to the Tar Heels, who put up a great fight against Villanova, which, by the way, lost tonight, so they are no longer undefeated. They lost to Butler. This is Hall. Shot clock is at 7. Parentes. Thompson for 3. The Zoo wanted an up and down on Thompson.
Well, what you're normally used to seeing is Virginia forcing teams to have to make those contested shots at the shot clock's end. But right now, it's Pittsburgh actually forcing Virginia all the way to the end of their shot clock and making them take difficult shots.
Just over 2 minutes to go in our first half. Johnson scoops it up. Jeter tried to follow, and a foul against the Cavaliers in the commotion. It's going to be Wilkins. His first.
And Cameron Johnson attacking the rim, and although he was unable to finish, by Wilkins coming over to try to block the shot, it opened up an opportunity for Jeter on the offensive board. Unable to finish it, but did get the foul and goes to the free throw line with opportunity to put more points on the board without having to play against that set Virginia defense. You know, where most teams struggle playing against Virginia is in the first half. It takes them a long time to get used to what they're doing defensively, but give Pittsburgh credit. They've come out operating very well in the first half. 32 points, and we mentioned Virginia held 3 straight teams this season under 40. So what Pitt's doing in the first half against the Hoos has been somewhat unprecedented.
Panthers have not been good from the free throw line, though. Just 3 of 8. They were the 3rd best free throw shooting team coming into tonight in the ACC. Fuentes, 3-on-2 break. Hall against 2 defenders. That'll drop for Hall, and he's going to the free throw line.
And that's a great basket for Virginia. Devin Hall, who has the athleticism and the ability to get to the rim, that time will only build confidence for him. Is what Virginia really needs is someone to be able to attack the basket, and Hall there able to finish through the contact and get the opportunity for the and one.
That's the first free throw of the game for Virginia as Hall gets the old school three-point play. It is a 3-point game. 1:36 to go in the first half. Third time the teams have met at Petersen Events Center. Both won by Virginia previously. It's going to go out of bounds off of the Cavaliers and stay with the Panthers.
But it won't reset the shot clock. So only 10 seconds for Pitt to get the ball full court and try to get a quality look against Virginia's defense. And where Pittsburgh has struggled on the last few possessions, Virginia's done a great job getting in the passing lanes and coming up with deflections, disrupting the Pitt offense.
Young, shot clock is at 2 for Jeter. Johnson gets it back. Young wastes no time. Chance for Virginia to tie with a 3. Inside of a minute to go. First half from Pittsburgh. Guy flashing. Johnson wants a timeout. And he'll be granted the timeout with 46.8 seconds to go in the first half.
Title match.
After everything you've been through to get here, now comes the hard part. You see, now's the time for you to take your first step, claiming your own ring.
Raiders, Texans, Saturday at 4:20 on ESPN and ABC.
Back then, turn down for what was a question. I think I found the answer. NBA Saturday prime time. Turn down for the season's unmissable game. Turn down for basketball. Turn down for
putting up astronomical numbers this year.
Jones, a floater. Peter tried to follow. Ball was up on the rim in an awkward fashion, and a foul is called.
And Jones attacking the rim. No one putting a body on Sheldon Jeter. He goes in, unable to finish the dunk. But as Reuter moves underneath him, coming up with the foul.
Third foul against Reuter.
Tony Bennett going to substitute. Get Shayak back on the floor for the last 36.2 seconds, and now 4 guards for Virginia. But more of an offensive substitution for Coach Bennett to try to put more points on the board before the half.
Mop up a little moisture on the court. here at Petersen Events Center, which has been redone in magnificent fashion with the stained three-point area and the strip pit at the center of the court. 8 points in the first half for Sheldon Jeter. Jeter had 13 rebounds in the game Saturday against Notre Dame to tie a career high. About a 5-second differential. Game to shot clock. Inside of 10 for Parentis. Guy tried to drop it off, and a lay-in from Wilkins as he drew the defenders. Time running out of the Panthers. Jeter has to heave one, three-quarter court, hit the rim. Sheldon Jeter gave it a scare. As it is, the Panthers will go to the locker room with the lead, 35-32, and Michael Young into double figures with 11 points in the first half. Pittsburgh dominating on the boards. 21-8, an exciting first 20 minutes between the Panthers and the visitors from Charlottesville, Virginia. Halftime, straight ahead.
After everything you've been through to get here, now comes the hard part. You see these rings? They all started out in the wild card round. You want to join them? Ain't no room for doubt here. You see, now's the time for you to take your first step, claiming your own ring. And remember, never ignore the wild card.
Raiders, Texans, Saturday at 4:20 on ESPN and ABC.
We're going to drop some college hoops knowledge on y'all, including how bracketology is going to Oxford, and the tallest fraternity in college hoops history. But we begin with the diaper dandies, the youngins, the rooks. Let's get to know the latest batch of freshman stars off the court with some freshman orientation.
I can play the saxophone a little bit. Just a little bit. I've been playing since I was in about the 6th grade, middle school. I actually was in a class, and it was kind of mandatory. I took band, and that was my instrument that I played. I'm decent. I wouldn't say good.
Today's lesson is on point guards. UCLA's Lonzo Ball. Some people look, other people see. Lonzo Ball sees. He sees the floor, he sees everyone on the floor, and he can also make shots. He throws it like this, but you know what? Swish, it goes in. Lonzo Ball is like today's Jason Kidd. UCLA has got the real deal at the point guard position. Class dismissed. Get out of my sight!
Man, I never seen anybody junkier than Nick Ward. Oh my goodness. I thought I was messy because I'm not the cleanest person, but Nick is on a whole nother level.
It's the opposite way around. My bed is made up at my side of the room, like nice and clean. His side got dirty clothes and everything like that, but he was a great roommate.
Class, today's lesson, the Aaron Fox of Kentucky. He's got handles. He can pass it. He can dribble it. He can drop dimes. Oh, my bad. Got to work on my handles. The Aaron Fox reminds me of Brandon Jennings. Left-hander, runner, middle game, speed, Professor Greenberg. Class dismissed.
Who is your biggest role model?
My mom. Proud to say it. Before a game, she always texts me, be more vocal, be hungrier than I was last game, to be more of a leader, because it takes a team effort, to win. You have the power to, be what you want to be in life. No matter what the circumstances are, you always can reach your goals.
Pull out your textbooks. Today's lesson is on Markelle Fultz. He has an effortless swag on the court. Sometimes it looks like he's not even trying. He lulls you to sleep, then bam, he has 35 points in you. Markelle Fultz reminds me of Brandon Roy. Tall, long, guards that can shoot the ball from deep, and guess what? They make the game easy breezy. That's the course for today. Swag 101.
playing for Michigan State. What does that mean to you?
It's an honor, man. You know, it's an honor to be able to play. I was 12 years old when I was diagnosed with bacterial meningitis. I was in the hospital for about a week and a half. They said I wasn't going to be able to live, let alone be able to play basketball if I did live. So that next year I was able to play.
You cherish every day?
Every day. When I go practice and when I'm able to step on this main court and just to be on campus at Michigan State, because you look at all the history that comes behind this school. You look at the guys that came through, Mateen Cleaves, Draymond Green, Steve Smith, Magic Johnson. All these guys that, you know, are great players, but also great leaders. Every day is a blessing to me to be able to put that jersey on my back.
Class, make sure you hurry up, sit down. Our next lesson, Malik Monk, University of Kentucky. He's a wildcat. That boy's wild. Once he gets you in the air a little bit on a head fake, you jump, you leave your feet, he's gonna come to the rim, bah, game over. Highlight reel. How do you jump that high? Malik Monk reminds me of that sixth man like Lou will. He can create some separation. That's all he needs with that sweet J. Splash. Time to go play some ball.
What was the biggest adjustment to a new country?
I was 10 years old when I came over to Florida. You know, I just had to adjust to a lot of things. Like pretty much the weather, the food, the people.
What's your favorite American food?
I like Chick-fil-A sometimes, not all the time. I didn't like the food because it was like kind of different from the kind of food I have back home in Nigeria.
Coming from Nigeria and moving here, what's something you miss about Nigeria?
Pretty much my family, most importantly, like, you know, my mom, my brothers and sisters, you know, they encourages me to get my degree, you know, making it into the league. That would definitely make my mom proud. I've been, you know, trying to work hard and, you know, just fulfill my dreams.
D. Nice Smith, the NC State. D. Nice Smith. Is it Dennis or D. Nice? When I think about Dennis Smith Jr., I think about somebody that can dance with the ball with some of the best of them. When he gets to the rim, he's not going to lay the ball in. He's going to hammer it on you. Why you dunk on him like that in public? Dennis Smith Jr. reminds me of Zach LaVine meets Kyle Lowry. That's a pretty scary combination, isn't it? I ain't got nothing else to say.
What would be the first song that would be on your playlist?
If I had it on shuffle, it would probably be Katy Perry.
What's your favorite Katy Perry song?
TGIF, but I can't sing it because I'm not a good singer.
What would you say to Katy Perry?
I would kind of speak, but then awkwardly, I don't know, I kind of want to hug, you know, because it's Katy Perry. Katy Perry, will you come to the game at Rupp Arena?
Harry Giles, 7'3" wingspan, 9-foot reach. The dude's got skills. I mean, he can handle it, shoot it, shake you, and has a middle game. Reminds me a little bit of Paul George. Both can shoot it, put it on the floor, versatile, can play more than one position. Class, all this will be on the final exam.
Duke hoping to cut down the nets at the end of the season. This year, the study of NCAA brackets has reached a new level of credibility, as Joe Lunardi's term bracketology has been added to the Oxford Dictionary. It's real now, yo!
ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi here with an update on my latest favorite book. It's the Dictionary, the Oxford English Dictionary to be precise. This past September, the noun bracketology was officially added to that dictionary, joining more than 829,000 words, senses, and compounds from across the English-speaking world. As Barry Manilow used to sing, it looks like we made it. Indeed, it's fair to say we've come a long way from scribbling out brackets on napkins or posting updates on websites far less credible than the likes of ESPN.com. Heck, making the dictionary is like becoming a scholar, a tenured professor, or in this case, a basketball savant. It wasn't easy reaching this new height. Hey, at my height, reaching anything isn't easy. But when the Oxford English Dictionary defines you, you have a new credibility. It should make every member of the tournament selection committee quiver. And if that doesn't work, I'll just send autographed copies of my book. I hear it's a real page-turner.
Props, Joe. Not to be confused with Prop Joe, a character from The Wire. Easy mistake. Now, we've seen some star-studded teams in college basketball that could put on a show, but the 1983 Houston Cougars were among the original high flyers. Led by Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler, Houston ran through the competition until the NCAA title game. Here's a clip from the 30 for 30 film Phi Slamma Jamma on how they got their name.
That season, they were a must-see. I remember they were playing a Sunday afternoon game against the University of Pacific. I was alone trying to figure out what to write. I mean, what do I write about a 50-point blowout? I thought, well, let's see, they had 10 dunks. What would you call a dunking fraternity? Well, you got to start with Phi. Okay, Phi Gamma. Okay, Gamma. How about Slamma? And then Jamma goes with that because jams and slams are together. So it became Phi Slamma Jamma.
The great Thomas Bach has named this team, and what an appropriate name, Phi Slamma Jamma.
Next day, I got a phone call from Frank Schultz, who was an associate AD in sports, and he said, wow, that's unbelievable. Can we use that? I said, yeah, go ahead. Put it out there. Take it.
It happened overnight. The marketing department, the media, everyone read the column by Tommy Bunk, saw the name. Those guys just fell in love with the name Phi Slamma Jamma.
It wasn't any big marketing firm. It wasn't an advertising deal. It was almost like a movement that kind of grew.
Everybody grabbed a hold of this and said, this is what we are. Texas' tallest fraternity. We're Phi Slamma Jamma.
A seemingly innocent newspaper column turned into a college basketball monster called Phi Slamma Jamma.
He's got the break. Oh, another!
Phi Slamma Jamma made basketball cool.
They call them Phi Slamma Jamma.
And they made University of Houston cool.
Watch out. Showtime.
We became the city of Houston's team.
The fever around this town is just unbelievable at this university. It's just tremendous.
A collegiate team in a pro town.
I'll say Phi Slamma Jamma one more time.
Okay, we'll try to play it for you again.
Texas is a football state, traditionally. But in those Phi Slamma Jamma years, we flipped it and made it a basketball state.
That's going to do it for the Watch ESPN Halftime Show. Hope you feel enlightened. All right, let's get you out to the second half. Thanks for watching. I'm Kerry Chow.
The difference between you and me, I tell it like it is, you tell it how it might be.
That damn Max coming. I know he's going to be smiling tomorrow.
Catch those vapors, Stephen A.
The debate starts here. First Take, now on ESPN, weekdays at 10.
After everything you've been through to get here, now comes the hard part.
Raiders, Texans, Saturday at 4:20 on ESPN and ABC.
In the magnificent city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they've got a big football game coming up on Sunday as they start the NFL playoffs against the Dolphins. Here's our leading scorers tonight, Panthers and Cavs. Young and Artis combining for 17 points. Those two players average a combined 44 points a game, which is second best in all of the country. Young muscles his way in and creeps it over the rim.
And great patience by Michael Young to see if a double team was coming. Tony Bennett has elected to go away from the post trap over the last few possessions where Michael Young has caught it on the block. I'm not sure if they can continue to do that because he may score every time he touches it down there.
He's got 13 points with the bucket to open up the second half for the Panthers. Hall lets it fly from the corner right in front of his own bench.
And Devin Hall battling back. Devin Hall having to take on the challenge of guarding Michael Young, giving up about 3 inches. Hall came in Virginia as a point guard, but now guarding the 4. And now you see the post trap come, but Cheok not recognizing it. And just like we saw in the first half, the drop off to Jeter on the backside for another dunk.
Double-figure points now for Sheldon Jeter. He's got 10. senior from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, watches that one rattle home for Virginia. Shayok now, he's got double figures with 10 points, and he's yet to miss. Artis is the cutter. Shayok. Parentes on the run. Nice soft bounce.
And again, Virginia starting off, getting the ball to the rim, operating better on the offensive end of the floor, which is the reason why they've been better offensively. They haven't relied as much on the outside shot, but yet defensively they haven't been up to their normal standards. And that's going to have to be corrected if they want to be able to get a win here on the road.
Fourth time tonight that we have been tied. 39 all. Johnson uncorks the three.
And Kevin Stallings excited about what his team's doing on the offensive end of the floor. Not happy about his defense, but when you've got O like this, you have to be excited. Cameron Johnson lining it up, knocking it down for three as the Panthers lead by that much.
With his Clemson offense. The Tide defense rolls again.
The National Championship presented by AT&T, Clemson, Alabama. Monday at 8 on ESPN. ESPN.
The difference between you and me, I tell it like it is, you tell it how it might be.
Repeat the technique.
That damn Max Kellerman, I know he's going to be smiling tomorrow.
He has done a great job of solving this very complex defense from Virginia, Corey.
And you have to help the helper when you're Virginia. As the ball goes into the post and you're going to go with the post trap, Mariel Shayok has to get down to take away Sheldon Jeter and keep him off the glass. And just like that, with a slow reaction, Shayok gives up the dunk. And Tony Bennett not happy about what his team has done on the defensive end of the floor here today. Fortunately, it's been the Virginia offense that's kept them in the game.
10 points for Sheldon Jeter. Virginia's made all of their shots in the second half. Shayok, first miss. First miss for the team and first miss for Shayok in the game.
You see, once again, as the post trap comes, now what you have to be concerned about is what it opens up on the other side. Artis unable to come up with that one, but this is the area where Pitt really has changed the game. They went into the break with a 14-2 second chance points advantage versus Virginia, and now another opportunity for second chance points.
Jones with the help, gonna drive, switching hands and just popping that one up on the backboard.
And add to that, but Virginia on defense for about a full minute on that possession by giving up the offensive rebound.
Big disparity as far as second chance points are concerned in the favor of the Panthers.
And you see Pitt switching everything on the defensive end of the floor, and a lot of times that will take you out of your offensive rhythm because you can't really run your sets.
Parentes. Shot clock is at 1 for Shayok. His three misses. Wilkins tapped it up on the cylinder. Johnson came away with it. Panthers are trying to stop a 7-game overall losing streak to Virginia. Third time they've played on this court. Virginia's won the 2 previous meetings here at the Petersen Events Center.
Give Pittsburgh credit for being patient on their offensive end of the floor.
Foul prior to the shot attempt by Young. There's a timeout on the court. Hall will get the foul for Virginia.
How do you...
City alive tonight with the sounds of college basketball in the Atlantic Coast Conference inside Petersen Events Center, and the Panthers with a 5-point lead. 15:43 to go in our second half. Last 4 games, the Panthers have had their troubles. Those are all wins by Virginia, and those games all represent the 2 programs as ACC members.
And Pitt only averaged 48 points a game in those, already 44 here tonight. The one thing that Kevin Stallings has brought to this Pitt lineup is a different offensive scheme. With Jamie Dixon, normally it was about defensive rebounding, as they came in and made the transition from the Big East. But Kevin Stallings has brought in a different offensive outlook for these Panther players, and you really like the way that he's utilizing Artis, especially putting him at the point guard position and really going out and getting his 5 best players on the court.
Wilkins follows up.
And the UVA bench wanting a foul on that possession. Tony Bennett having a conversation with Brian Dorsey over on the sideline as Dorsey's trying to get back down the court. Of course, one of the great things about being official, you really don't have to listen to what the coach is saying.
Johnson pouring in a 3.
And all the Pitt faithful, they've seen this from Johnson before. You and I witnessed Johnson with an epic performance at the ACC tournament last year, where he had a breakout game, knocking down, I believe, what was 7 3-pointers.
They beat Syracuse in the second round, but lost to North Carolina in the quarterfinals at the tournament for the Panthers. And there's Parentes lining up that 3-ball.
And London Parentes has been quiet offensively. He's gotten a lot of help from his teammates. But as this game goes along, and the closer you get to crunch time, you're going to need the senior point guard to step up and help out his group.
7 points for Parentes. He is the leading scorer for this Virginia team, but at just 9.9 per game. Young with a tough runner. Hall breaks it out 3-on-2. Parentes spots up for another 3 that was halfway down. Johnson again reloading. Points and 4 of 5 from 3 for Johnson. Johnson defending Shayok has now gone 11 straight games in double figures. Shot clock at 5. Shayok. Wilkins fighting for the loose ball, commits the foul.
Cameron Johnson, we mentioned his breakout performance, and once again, he's up to his old tricks on the other end of the floor. London Parentes knocking down the 3 to try to battle with Johnson. Yet Johnson has the last laugh as he finds himself wide open as he scored 9 of the last 12 Pitt points from beyond the 3-point arc.
Sophomore from nearby Moon Township, Pennsylvania. 14 points against Notre Dame in 41 minutes of action. And now for Johnson tonight, 12 points. Young leads the way with 13. Jeter also has 10. Those are 3 Pitt players in double figures.
Here we go.
Young tried to get fancy and lost it out of bounds.
Yeah, that's a scenario where Michael Young just doing a little too much. And it's always worse when you're doing too much right in front of your coach, because Kevin Stallings standing right there beside him in disbelief as the unforced turnover occurs for Pittsburgh.
Kevin Stallings was so close to his first ACC win last Saturday as Hall is able to follow the miss.
And Darius Thompson getting to the rim, unable to finish, but Devin Hall doing a great job continuing to compete and picking up the offensive board. Virginia hasn't had much on the offensive glass, but Devin Hall there with a big putback.
Hall's got 12 points. That's above his season average of 6.5, and that's out of bounds to Virginia.
But 2 back-to-back turnovers after Pitt took a 6-point lead and now gives Virginia an opportunity to get back within a 1-possession game.
9th turnover for the Panthers in the game. Parentes runs into a roadblock. Diakite, high arcing 3. And Young hauls it in. 12 minutes to go. Pittsburgh by 4. Tom Wormy, Corey Alexander. and our outstanding ACC College Hoops production crew with you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Petersen Events Center.
And one of the things you have to pay attention to, Pitt only playing 7 players in their rotation, Virginia playing 10. So Virginia could be fresher at the end, but no one fresher than Jamel Artis right now as he pulls up from the top of the key and is good for 3.
9 points for Artis. The Oakland Zoo is rocking. They call it the Oakland Zoo because we're in the Oakland neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No actual animals in the zoo. Reuter on the entry. Let the defender go on by. 8 points for Reuter.
And if you're Pittsburgh right now, you're playing extremely well on the offensive end of the floor, but you have to be concerned about the fact that you can't really separate from Virginia. Virginia very good at end-of-game situations. We get an offensive foul on Pittsburgh. But we talked about Pittsburgh offensive execution, and none better than when they have Jamel Artis with the basketball in his hand. He's hard to guard from beyond the arc.
The fans are here behind us. They're waiting for their game. They do breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. We're talking sausage, chicken, and waffles.
Right there. That's it. All right.
Make sure that you party with us all morning long.
Between you and me, I tell it like it is, you tell it how it might be.
Man, that damn Max Kellerman, I know he's going to be smiling tomorrow.
They are frequently a laughing stock.
And oh, by the way, had the temerity, the unmitigated gall, to sit up there and bloviate about this stuff, and you ain't even in first place. Wow! Shut the hell up!
Catch those vapors, Stephen A.
The debate starts here. First Take, now on ESPN, weekdays at 10.
Oh, no, just stop it!
Here's our game summary. With the Panthers up 53-48, both teams can continue to shoot at a very steamy clip. Panthers at 54%. And keep in mind, Corey, defensively for Virginia, they hold opponents to 35% per game, best in the country.
Absolutely, and I agree with them being best in the country, but those numbers are a bit skewed because you're talking about over a span of non-conference play. When you have to play against the likes of Pittsburgh and Florida State, those numbers are going to go higher. But yet still surprising to see how well Pitt has operated on their offensive end of the floor.
Told you the Panthers are on a 7-game losing streak against Virginia. Out of the corner, that's a 3 to Shayok. The Panthers have not beaten Virginia since February of 1975. That was an OT win, 71-70 at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, the former home of Panther basketball. Shayok reversing direction.
Mario Shayok has had himself a night here in Pittsburgh as well as he's continued to score very well. 12 points for him, only averaging about 7 a game. So 12 points for him off the bench, and he's been aggressive on the offensive end of the floor.
1975 was a good year around here. Second straight Super Bowl for the Panthers. For the Steelers, rather. As they won the Super Bowl of 76, the year of 75. They won it the year before as well.
One of those years, I think they beat my Cowboys, so that's not such a great year as far as I'm concerned.
4 Super Bowls in the 70s for the Steelers. Substitutions coming into the game. Michael Young is back in. Chris Jones as well. Young has 13 points. Jeter picked up the foul for the Panthers. Shayok with the rifle pass. Cannot collaborate with Reuter. Tony Bennett's team has turned it over.
And not really many turnovers. Only the 4th turnover for Virginia on the night. So, you know, you have to say that they've operated well there, and there's been a struggle for them. 20 assists to 27 turnovers in their first 2 ACC games this year, so they've kind of fixed that. As Pitt turns it over once again with a great opportunity at the rim. Michael Young, usually sure-handed, unable to handle that pass from Artis. Pitt with 12 assists as well, but now their 11th turnover. That's one of the areas where Virginia has been able to capitalize, winning the points off turnovers battle 13-6.
Kyle Guy is getting a lot of attention from the zoo every time he touches the basketball. He's a freshman for Virginia. Diakite tried to spin on the block, got it back. Guy, glance at the shot clock. Lost it out of bounds. Pittsburgh ball as that shot clock was bearing down on him.
And Kyle Guy put in a position to where he's got to be more of a ball handler. And that's not really his strong suit right now. But with London Prentes on the bench, Virginia needs ball handling. And also you have Devin Hall, who's their second ball handler. So when you look at that, this is an interesting lineup for Tony Bennett to have in the game right now. But as Pittsburgh has turned the basketball over recently, they've helped Virginia stick around.
Young backing in on Reuter. Diakite tried to help, but Young scores anyway.
Well, again, if you're going to guard Michael Young with one player on the block, it's going to be difficult for your defense.
Virginia had gone 28 possessions without a turnover. They have turned it over in each of their last 2 possessions. Reuter around Young.
And Reuter doing a good job on the block, and maybe have gotten away with a little bit of a forearm on that. They'll put the forearm into the chest of Michael Young. Young looking at the officials, but Reuter didn't stop playing and was able to finish over the top.
Reuter's got 10 points after just scoring just 2 against Florida State. And now that foul goes against Pittsburgh. Second on Jones. Michael Young battling on the inside of the Panthers. Have a 3-point lead.
Saturday on the SEC Network, the Razorbacks
Easy bucket to the other end for Macon.
take on the number 6 Wildcats.
And Fox is ahead of the pack. Can't defend that.
Arkansas, Kentucky, Saturday at 8:30 on the SEC Network.
ACC College Basketball is sponsored by Husqvarna. Performance, design, heritage. That's Husqvarna. Today's the day you save. Every day is Husqvarna Day. Visit Husqvarna.com for product details.
Back in Pittsburgh as we come inside the arena. Cavaliers trailing the Panthers by 3. That was the margin at halftime. Virginia had won 4 in a row prior to the loss against Florida State on Saturday. How good have they been at home in ACC play, Corey? Over the last 5 years, that was just their second home loss, and they had won 14 in a row at home for Tony Bennett before the loss to Florida State.
Well, Virginia's last 3 years have been unprecedented. They actually broke the 1981 through 83 Cavaliers records for most wins, eclipsing it by 1. 89 wins over the last 3 seasons for Tony Bennett. And, of course, when you talk 81-83, you're talking about the Ralph Sampson era. So whenever you have any stats better than the Ralph Sampson era, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Nice drive from Thompson. Thompson's got 5. Virginia made it to the regional final last year in the tournament before losing to Syracuse 68-62. Just 1 step away from the Final Four. Kithcart. Diakite swatted it.
Well, Kithcart and Diakite, no strangers to each other, as Shayak is able to get out on the break. Diakite playing at Blue Ridge School in Virginia, and of course Kithcart playing at Virginia Episcopal. So these guys have gone at it a number of times. And right now, the coaching staff for Virginia upset about the fact that Kithcart gave the basketball up to the official before the timeout was called, thinking that was a turnover. But Tim Nestor doing a great job controlling the situation.
You both have a perfect driving record.
Perfect.
No tickets, no accidents.
That is until one of you clips a food truck, ruining your perfect record.
Yeah.
Now, you would think your insurance company would cut you some slack, right?
No, your insurance rates go through the roof. Your perfect record doesn't get you anything.
Anything.
Perfect.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
And that basket was giving them the first lead they've had in a very long while.
Since the 10:42 mark of the first half, Artis on the drive, but he got fouled. Virginia led 16-15 with just under 11 minutes to go in the first half. Shayok is going to pick up the foul, his third for the Cavaliers.
And you look at Jamel Artis and Virginia's defense, of course, they're designed to try to take away everything that you want to do. They haven't been able to hold Michael Young down, but yet Jamel Artis right now with 9 points. And this is a young man that averages 10.6 points per game in the first half alone. So Virginia has done the job defensively on Artis. He's been able to knock down 3 threes, but outside of that, hasn't had many opportunities at the rim, and now 0 for 3 from the free throw line. Make it 0 for 4, and of course, the Oakland Zoo, they know how reliable of a free throw shooter he normally is and how much of a scorer he is, and kind of a size he's unable to finish for the second time at the line.
How about Thompson? Just gliding in and guiding that basketball off the backboard and in.
And those are the points that Virginia needs. We've seen Devin Hall do it. We've seen Darius Thompson and Shayok, all of those guys getting to the rim and making plays at the rim in comparison to having to rely on their jump shots, which adds a different dimension to their offensive game.
It is an 8-0 run for the Cavs. Artis. Tight.
Beautiful step back by Artis. And as he smacks his hands, he's more disappointed about the 2 free throws he missed on the prior possession. But he was able to tie the game up with the 3.
It is our 5th tie of the game. Artis now has 12 points. And Virginia comes right back.
Devin Hall now with 15 points, as he's been the leading scorer for Virginia here on the evening and continues to be aggressive on the offensive end of the floor. And that's a great sign if you're Tony Bennett.
Foul on the drive by Young.
Darius Thompson looking for a play inside and sees the opening. He does a great job attacking the rim. However, great offense beats good defense anytime. As Jamel Artis is able to knock down the 3, Devin Hall answers that. Anything you can do, I can do just a little bit better.
15 points to lead the way for the Cavs for Hall, who has a new career high.
One shot straight in, one time.
16 points for Young. Three of 5 from the free throw line for Michael Young, the senior. Five minutes remaining in regulation. Virginia by 1. Shayok. Weak side to Jones. Artis. It's a 3-ball. Jamel Artis. Panthers back in front. Timeout, Virginia.
Jamel Artis 5 for 6 from beyond the 3-point arc and 0 for 4 from the free throw line on the evening so far. So the closer he gets to the rim, the worse off it is for Jamel Artis, as he's operated extremely well from beyond the arc. And he's not only making big shots, he's also making tough shots. Step back, knocks down another three as the Panthers lead by 2.
It isn't always easy to know where you stand financially. Multiple accounts, investments, insurance. At Northwestern Mutual, we help you see your whole picture, find out what you truly want, and we design a plan to go get it. We help you live life differently.
Difference between you and me, I tell it like it is, you tell it how it might be.
The CC College Basketball is sponsored by The Works Pegasus. Your workspace, any space. Find it at your local Lowe's.
Back in Pittsburgh, and time for our Hardy star to watch. And he's been hot as of late. Jamel Artis, the senior.
And Jamel Artis has done it from beyond the three-point arc. All of his points coming off of three-pointers, tying his career high. 5 3-pointers and shot extremely well, 5 for 6. Still not happy about the fact that he's been to the line twice and missed both free throws. As Jamel Artis is a big-time scorer. He wants those points.
That'll stay with Virginia. 66 times in his career for Artis, he has gotten to double figures. You talked about the threes, Corey. He's got 10 in the last 2 games. Had 5 against Notre Dame. Shayok from the wing.
And what Shayok has been able to do in the first half, he's not been able to replicate that type of performance here in the second half. And Virginia almost made the mistake of leaving Artis. And now Devin Hall, who was guarding Michael Young earlier, takes on the challenge of guarding Artis and trying to slow down his momentum.
Thompson had it for a moment. Young may have grabbed Thompson as he was trying to break away. Young disagreeing with the assessment from the officials, but it's his second personal foul. Four team fouls for each squad in this half. 3:45 to go in the game. Hall, the runner. Well defended as Johnson went up with him.
Good defensive stand by the Panthers on that possession. That's been an opportunity where Hall and Thompson both have gotten to the rim on pretty easy on last possessions, but much resistance at the rim from the Panthers on that one.
Shot clock is at 8 for Luther. Entry to Young. An immediate double. Young. Luther! Bending the rim for the Panthers. Deflected out of bounds by Young. It stays with the Cavs. .12 seconds on the shot clock. For London Parentes, the senior from Los Angeles, and his Cavalier teammates. They want to get Diakite into the game, and he will be allowed to enter. Reuter will leave. 10 points for Reuter. Fine performance.
But that substitution was more about defense so that Tony Bennett did not have to trap Michael Young on the block. Where they have been slowing their rotations, he feels as though Diakite can actually guard Young by himself on the block.
Parentes with the shot clock winding down. What a drive from the senior, and he's going to the free throw line.
And these are the type of plays that London Parentes often made last year for Virginia. Not just settling for three-pointers, but going north-south, getting to the rim, finishing at the rim. Big basket for the senior at a time where Virginia needed a score at the most.
London Parentes at the line. Double figures and 10 points for Parentes. Basically right on his average of 9.9, which leads the way for the Cavaliers this season.
In Virginia now with 4 players in double figures. We mentioned early in the game, they didn't have anyone averaging double figures, but 4 guys right now have gotten into double figures in this game.
This is Young. Tapped up. It was Luther coming over the top for Pitt. Diakite, blocked by Luther. Luther out of nowhere to swat it away from Diakite. Panthers by 3, inside of 2 minutes to go. Fouled, Artis on the drive.
Ryan Luther making his impact felt on both ends of the floor. The tip in to push the Panthers lead to 3, and then on the defensive end, he gets lost, but recovers extremely well, coming up with a huge block to save the possession for the Panthers. Jamel Artis now 1 for 5 at the free throw line, making his first free throw on the game, where a young man who's used to going to the line and having tremendous success has to feel good for him. And of course the Oakland Zoo appreciating their senior stepping up at the free throw line.
Normally 73% from the line for Artis. As Corey said, just 1 make tonight from the line.
But that 1 make made it a 2-possession game.
Parentes rattles in a 3.
And just like that, back to a 1-point game. So that free throw that Artis did make, very important. Otherwise, we'd be tied up right now. Pittsburgh with an opportunity to increase that lead, but London Parentes has started to heat up on the last 2 possessions for Virginia on the offensive end of the floor.
Second 3 for Parentes, who now has 169 in his career. 9th in school history. Young trying to back it on down. Off the glass and good. The strength of Michael Young and 19 points.
Tony Bennett wanting an offensive foul on that possession.
Inside of a minute to go, Pittsburgh by 3.
And this is where the Panthers have struggled this year. Is coming up when they need it most. As Tony Bennett continues to plead his case to the official on the last possession. But we see London Parentes coming off, knocking down the 3-pointer. Big shot from the senior on one end of the floor. But Pitt senior Michael Young, the ACC's leading scorer, playing big man basketball in the paint, is able to finish with the left hand.
19 points for Young and his biceps. 8 of 16 from the floor. Here's the reset. Both teams with a timeout remaining, and the team fouls. Both with 5. Corey Alexander, what an outstanding basketball game we have been treated to tonight between the Panthers and the Cavaliers.
Absolutely. This has been fun. Probably higher scoring than any one of us thought it would be. Pitt now cracking 70 points. Virginia sitting on 67. But it's still going to come down to probably a final possession in this game.
Cavaliers have shot 53%. Oh, drops it off. Wilkins lays it in. The basket will not count. Foul on the floor prior to the Wilkins attempt.
And neither team in the bonus right now. So there will be underneath. Pitt having the foul to give. And I'm sure that's not what they were planning to do. A breakdown as Hall got a free run to the rim. But fortunate for the Panthers, Virginia not in the bonus.
Second foul on Cam Johnson. 50 seconds to go. 1 possession game. Parentes against the bigger Luther. Young altered the shot. Shayok came in, collided with a couple of Panthers. Young ends up on the deck. Foul is called.
Young actually,
Pittsburgh, Corey.
Yeah, Young actually went down when he was contesting the shot with Parentes, but the foul on Pittsburgh after the scrum, as the officials convene,
That's going to be 5 on Chris Jones. And the foul now is being assessed to Artis. And that's just his first personal foul. So Jones can remain in for Pittsburgh with 4 personals.
Well, that's a possession where everyone going after the basketball. So that's one where the officials could have made their choice of who the foul was on. But if you're Kevin Stallings, you're happy about the fact that it was on Artis compared to Jones. Jones, one of the better defenders for the Panthers. So they actually get a great break there to keep him on the floor.
Shayok has not been to the line tonight. Hall. Foul on Hall. He came up with the basketball. But Tim Nestor calls the foul on Hall, his second.
But that's the difference in being in the bonus and not being in the bonus. It's a 1-and-1. And as they battle for the rebound, Devin Hall gets in. And that's tough right there because it almost looks as though Hall's arm was hooked underneath of Michael Young. And there's the 6th foul, but you don't normally shoot on you don't shoot 1-and-1 on a player control foul, which happens on the offensive end of the floor. So Pittsburgh would take the ball out of bounds underneath the basket.
Panthers by 3. They have not beaten Virginia in this series since 1975. They've lost 7 in a row to the Cavs.
And if you're Virginia right now, you play it out defensively, try to get a stop, and then come up with the basketball. More than likely, if they get a rebound, they will call a timeout to get set.
7 on the shot clock.
And this might be a good time for Kevin Stallings to use his final timeout right now.
Panther ball.
With 7 seconds, of course, if you're Pittsburgh, you want an opportunity to score.
Kevin Stallings is finding out how hard it is to win games in the ACC. Overtime against Notre Dame, 3-point game with 15 seconds to go.
Kevin Stallings coached for 17 years at Vanderbilt, so he's been through the ACC battles. He knows how hard it is to win in conference play on the road. And so therefore, not even on the road, but at home as well. So he was anticipating this coming into the ACC, knowing the level of competition got even greater as he left the SEC to come here.
So there is a review ongoing.
Well, the official review is simply at under 2 minutes. You can determine who the basketball went out of bounds on. And Virginia doing a good job getting their hands on the basketball. But it does go off of Wilkins as he reaches in and knocks it out of bounds. So Pitt will maintain the basketball. But it did give Kevin Stallings that timeout that he didn't actually have to use on his own to come up with what he wanted his team to do with the final 7 seconds on the shot clock. Also gave Tony Bennett an opportunity to say what he wants his team to do, whether they get a rebound or a stop and a score going back down the other end.
5 on the shot clock. This is Young. Pulls up just beyond the free throw line and misses. 6 seconds to go. Parentes runs it up. They need a 3 to tie. Parentes ties it. He makes the long-range 3. We're tied at 70. 2.4 seconds remaining.
I told you earlier, London Parentes was about big shots. And it doesn't get any bigger than this right here. And there was never a question in my mind as to what was going to happen, who was going to shoot the basketball at this time. And London Parentes was allowed to rhythm up. If you're Chris Jones at that point, you have a 3-point lead. You can't allow London Parentes to walk into a rhythm 3-pointer. Fouling, honestly, doesn't hurt you at that point. So if you get up in them and take away the drive, make them drive and take away the 3, it doesn't hurt you even if you put him at the free throw line.
How about that senior and his performance? He has scored the last 9 points for Virginia. He is 3 of 5 from long distance, none bigger than the pull-up moments ago to tie this game at 70. Well, the Panthers went to overtime last Saturday. Steve Vastoria hit the game-winning 3 in that one, as the Panthers came up short in that attempt to win that game, 78-77. That was OT. We're tied now at 70, 2.4 seconds to go.
We see Parentes once again eyeing the three-pointer, knocking it down. And again, Chris Jones, of course, with 4 fouls. I'm sure he didn't want to foul, but you have to understand time and score right there. You cannot allow London Parentes to rhythm up into that three. And even if you do foul him, it doesn't hurt you because you have a three-point lead. You put him at the line, and it's still 1-1. You force him to get points there.
Luther runs the baseline. 2.4 to go. The long touchdown pass. Young has a chance. Gets it away. And we are going to overtime. Second straight game that Michael Young has had the ball in his hands and a chance to win it in the closing seconds in regulation. Couldn't do it against Notre Dame. We got some extra basketball, Corey.
Absolutely, and as well as these teams have played today, we don't mind any extra basketball. Who cares how late it is at night or how late this game started? The way these two teams have played today, you want to see them continue to go out, and someone has to win it. They have been even up. Although Pitt has held the lead the majority of this game, Virginia has hung in there, scoring 70 points. And the Cavaliers, since Tony Bennett has been in Charlottesville, are 86-4 when they've scored 70 or more points.
Catch your breath. Tied at 70. We're coming right back to the zoo and Pittsburgh.
What is it that makes a hustle? After everything you've been through to get here, now comes the hard part. You see these rings? They all started out in the wild card round. You want to join them? Ain't no room for doubt here. You see, now's the time for you to take your first step, claiming your own ring. And remember, never ignore the wild card.
Raiders, Texans, Saturday at 4:20 on ESPN and ABC.
They are bumping in the Oakland Zoo. The student section, this is their first game back. They started classes today, and it's the second straight overtime game for Pittsburgh, the first that the Cavaliers have participated in for the 2016-17 season. The OT tap controlled by the Panthers. Michael Young had a last-second chance after the Parentes three to get us here to OT. Jeter, it's a three.
Beautiful execution by the Panthers coming out to start overtime. And if you're the team that had the lead and gave up the point, that's always even more important to make sure your confidence is intact coming into the overtime period. And great execution by the Panthers on that possession.
Shayok, a little fall away. Johnson comes over the top for the clearance. Young through the double from Wilkins. Free throws coming for Michael Young.
But the double team was late for Virginia on that possession. Michael Young took his time, waited to see if a double team was coming, and then started to operate. So as Wilkins comes down to set the double, as Young is already in his move, it's going to be difficult to get there and actually set that trap.
3 for 6 from the free throw line for Young.
When you look at what Young and Artis have done from the free throw line today, that's been the difference in the game. If they had basically done what they normally do at the line, this game would have been over in regulation. Now we see Young go to the line again and miss 2 again. The 2 of those guys combined, 4 for 13 from the free throw line. You're talking about guys. Young shoots 83% from the line, and Artis 73%.
Thompson on the drive was fouled on the attempt.
See, Michael Young still frustrated about missing those 2 free throws. For everything that he's done so well today or tonight. And the free throw line has been the struggle for the Panthers. 8 for 18 from the free throw line in this game, giving away 10 points at the line. If they're unable to win this one, they can look at that as a reason, but Virginia repaying the favor. Only the 4th and 5th free throws for the Hoos in this game, and Darius Thompson goes to the line and misses both of them.
Pittsburgh as a team is a good free throw shooting team. 73%. Not tonight. Artis against Paul. Was stifled by the bottom of the backboard. Jeter has no problem. It's his second three of the OT period.
And fortunately for the Panthers, that line has not been an issue. 10 three-pointers made. I'm sorry, 12 three-pointers made on the night for the Panthers.
16 points for Jeter, who owns 3 of those three-pointers. Reuter trying to back on down. Cavs have not scored in the OT. Couple of threes from Jeter. That's the difference. Artis. Another!
It's been about the three-pointer in overtime for the Panthers. Sheldon Jeter knocks down his second three of the OT. As you can tell, he's excited. The zoo is excited. Jamel Artis adding a three-pointer. 9 points in overtime for the Panthers and a 9-0 run.
Let's go, man! We got that!
Jamel Artis coming off the top of the screen, no hesitation, steps up, knocks down the third three of this overtime session for the Pitt Panthers as they put 9 points of separation between them and the Virginia Cavaliers in the first 2+ minutes of this overtime period.
They have tied their season high with 13 made threes as a team. Jamel Artis, 6 of 7 from three-point distance. The 6 makes a new career high. He now has 38 threes on the season. That's the best on the team. And what about Sheldon Jeter? Corey, coming in, he had made 9 threes all season. He is 3 for 5 from beyond 20 feet, 9 inches away tonight.
Well, and that's what you have to love about your senior stepping up in conference play. Sheldon Jeter, Michael Young, Jamel Artis, these guys have been through it before. So give them a tremendous amount of respect for the way they've operated, knowing how crucial it is to get wins on their home court in ACC play. And right now, sitting in good position to try to finish this one off. But with 2:45 remaining, this game is far from over.
Well, you look at the top 10 in the nation, and you start right at the top. Villanova has already lost tonight to Butler. Louisville losing to Notre Dame, which beat Pittsburgh in OT on Saturday. Louisville has to travel to Georgia Tech on Saturday, this coming Saturday. Duke is a big winner tonight, as Coach K will take a leave of absence for the back surgery, as Duke beat Georgia Tech. Creighton beating St. John's. And number 11, Virginia, trying to hang on but trailing by 9 with 2:41 to go. All kinds of chaos in that top 10 across the national landscape. Thompson, tough shot. He is not afraid to elevate and then just create once he gets up there, Corey.
But that's one of the areas he's actually struggled this year is scoring going to the rim. But he and Devin Hall both have done a great job attacking the paint today. The issue for Virginia, which we were never expecting, has been their defense. They've been unable to hold down the Panthers. 79 points, 70 in regulation is unheard of for a Tony Bennett coach team. They haven't seen these type of numbers in a very long time.
Pittsburgh is also shooting 55% as a team in the game as Jeter runs it down.
And that's even more unheard of. I can't remember the last time I've even heard of anyone shooting those type of percentages against the Virginia defense.
Inside of 2 minutes in OT. London Parentas got us here with a three-pointer from about 24 feet away to tie it in regulation at 70 as Young goes up for the board. His 6th of the ball game. Jeter leads the team with 8 rebounds. He's got 17 in his last 2 games and a couple of big threes in OT for Pittsburgh. Young is a tough cover, but he used that elbow to gain an advantage. The officials were on top of it, third personal.
They got him. Tim Nestor right on top of it. Great call as Michael Young did extend that, what we like to call chicken wing, knocking Wilkins out of position. And a turnover for Pittsburgh. And if you're Pitt, just because you had a 9-point lead doesn't mean that you have to take your foot off the gas pedal, especially against Virginia and their ability to shoot the basketball from beyond the three-point arc.
Big possession for the Cavaliers. Hall trying to cash it in. It rims out. Wilkins may have been last to touch it. Ball given to Pitt. One minute to go in the OT. Foul on Parentas. Virginia's won 7 in a row in the series. You have to go back to 1975. They played at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse in Pittsburgh. They've been in Petersen Events Center since 2002. It's been a while since the Panthers had the upper hand.
That's got to feel good to Jamel Artis to be able to get to the free throw line and knock down the shot. As Kyle Gott gets his normal welcome.
Just 2 points for Guy, Corey.
The Oakland Zoo has chosen Kyle Gott to be the one guy they're going to boo for Virginia every time they see him or he touches the basketball. And I'm not sure how much of an effect it's had on Guy, but he has not had a very good game here today.
21 points for Artis. He and Young have combined for 40. Guy launches it. Johnson fighting with Wilkins. And they're walking to the other end of the court because the foul is on Wilkins.
You know, give the Panthers credit. A lot of times when you have a shot made against you like the one London Parentas made to send this game into overtime, your team goes into the huddle and goes into overtime somewhat with their head hanging down and come out and play like it in overtime. But the seniors for the Panthers stepped up. Sheldon Jeter with 2 back-to-back three-pointers to start off overtime. Jamel Artis with a big 3 in overtime. And you really give the seniors a lot of credit for the Panthers as Cameron Johnson steps up and knocks down a free throw. But it was those 3 three-pointers that were the separation necessary for Pitt. And although we still have 46.8 seconds, somewhat of an insurmountable lead, 11 points in such a short period of time may be tough for the Cavaliers to overcome.
First free throws of the night for Johnson with 14 points. Thompson makes his way to the rim and lays it in. Parentas, an immediate foul against Jamel Artis, who is the leading scorer tonight for Pittsburgh with 21 points. Parentas is the leading scorer for Virginia with his 16 and 3 three-pointers. 3 of 8 from the free throw line for Artis. To further break down the night for Artis, Corey, 6 of 7 from beyond the arc, 0 for 5 in the stained wood area inside the arc.
And then add the free throw numbers. So everything that he's done from beyond the arc has been exceptional, but he hasn't had the greatest game inside that painted area.
Hall charging to the rim. Misses the attempt. Wilkins will follow. 32.3 to go. It's like Parentes committed the foul once again.
And really, the first possession of overtime set the tone for the Panthers. The Sheldon Jeter three-pointer, and then the three-pointer off the offensive rebound. Then Jamel Artis, another senior, stepping up, knocking down that big three. And just like that, it was a 9-point overtime lead for the Panthers. And they really haven't relinquished it since. Now it's solely about going to the free throw line and taking care of business. And they can leave here their home court with their first ACC win of the year.
9 combined threes from Artis and Jeter, a couple of seniors, and 13 threes on the night for the Panthers. Wilkins' pass picked up by Johnson, and he is fouled with 23.5 seconds to go. And the PEC is on its feet. The Animals got fed in the zoo tonight with some exceptional basketball from both the Panthers and the Cavaliers.
You know, and I believe what they saw was an exceptional offensive display, which I don't think anyone would have expected coming into this game. But 87 points, and granted, it's in overtime, but, you know, you're talking about a Virginia team that has now given up 18 points in the extra session. Free throws have been the largest part of that late. But you just don't see teams score these type of points against the Cavaliers.
Final seconds are going to tick away. The Panthers leave the court with a win, and it's the first ACC victory for first-year head coach Kevin Stallings. Well, Corey, we were treated to an unreal basketball game tonight. It took overtime, but the Panthers, for the first time since 1975, beat the Cavaliers.
Absolutely, and of course, a great win for Kevin Stallings and his staff, his team, his seniors stepping up and playing huge in the overtime session. Give Virginia credit for what they were able to do offensively, but Pitt credit for breaking what has been such a stingy Virginia defense.
Jamel Artis led the way with 24 points for Pittsburgh, which wins 88-76 in OT. For Corey Alexander and our entire crew, I'm Tom Wormy. Thanks for watching, and good night from Pittsburgh.
After everything you've been through to get here, now comes the hard part. You see, now's the time for you to take your first step, claiming your own ring.
Raiders, Texans, Saturday at 4:20 on ESPN and ABC.